Unpopular opinions. I asked for them. Y'all provided. I recently did a video where I talked about some of my unpopular opinions, and now I want to do another one where we talk about yours. I do my best to every now and then be putting up videos where I'm posting a community post so that y'all can give your answers and we can hang out together and interact. I really like the community aspect of these types of videos. I like hearing from y'all even more than just in the comment section and bringing it in for a discussion. So that's what we're doing today. We're talking about some unpopular opinions, which I guess I'll start the video this way. Anytime there is a post like this, a video like this, there's always comments, dozens of comments saying, none of these are actually unpopular. And to that I say, yeah, we live on the internet. Everybody is always shouting their unsolicited opinions. There's no such thing as an unpopular opinion anymore. But we're just, we're just trying to have fun. I'm gonna start with the most upvoted ones and the ones that got the most interaction, and then after a bit, I'll just start doing a random comment generator or something to make sure we get some of the newer ones too. Sometimes a villain just needs to be a villain, and that's it. Not every villain needs a redemption arc or some deep dive into their psyche. Some of the most iconic villains are rather shallow, and that's because the work actually went into their presence in the story at hand, not into developing a rich psychological roller coaster or backstory. We're coming out the gate swinging. Okay. All right, yeah, the comments seem to like you a lot. The replies to this comment are very agreeable. I don't agree. I don't think that a villain just being a villain is a bad thing. Some of my favorite stories have kind of, this type of villain that you're describing, like Lord of the Rings. Sauron isn't some deep, complex character, but the effects upon the world and our characters because of Sauron are great. So I assume that's what you mean, right? And to that, I say, yeah, it can exist, but those are the most forgettable villains for me. The ones that are really memorable to me are the ones that have those backstories or those complex motivations, or that, like, I kind of agree with them a little bit, just a little. I get where you're coming from. You make sense to me. Your methods just suck. You know what I'm saying? Like, those people are those are the villains that stick with me. Those are the ones I remember. The ones that are just a villain, their effects are grand, but them as a character, I got nothing to say about you. I can't say that I don't feel it. I don't feel the same. We need actually morally gray characters, as in you can't judge them overall as good or bad because the reasons for their actions are messy and complicated. When more people talk about morally gray characters, they usually mean heroes that kill people. When most people talk about morally gray characters, they usually mean heroes that kill people or villains that are funny/hot. Oh, that's brilliant. Which still operates under the assumption that people can cleanly be sorted into good and bad. So I feel like that's a really good display of the duality of these kinds of things. Our two most upvoted comments, at least at the point that I'm filming this video, are, I want my villains to be just villains. I need more morally gray people that are not just good or just bad, which those are talking about two different things, but they are still asking for separate sides of the spectrum to an extent. And I obviously love morally gray characters. That's not a surprise probably to anybody. I enjoy a character that does not cleanly fit into good or bad, that is just human and complex and doing the best they can in the world that they're in and in the hand that they were given. And sometimes that looks real bad. And honestly, I think that morally gray characters are they're becoming a lot more standard at least in fantasy. I feel like there are definitely authors that I read that are some of my most read authors that definitely do the good or bad and don't have a lot of morally gray characters. But then there are other authors I read, like Joe Abercrombie, that's his thing. So I don't feel like I'm lacking in this type of character, but I'm with you. I'm always happy for a morally gray character. And like a good one. A good morally gray character. a well-written one. Here's an old video of mine where I talked about morally gray characters. Can't guarantee it's good, but it was once made. I know prologues are generally frowned upon by editors and literary agents, but I think they can be done really well. Prologues can provide the background for an event that heavily impacts the rest of the story, and I find it exciting to see how the prologue connects to the rest of the story. Prologues can make the world feel so much bigger, especially if it's from a different perspective. People often complain that there's no point in getting attached to what happens in a prologue, but I would disagree. I've never heard that. I have heard that literary agents and publishers don't like prologues. I've heard that before. But a lot of books I read have them, so I don't know. Anyway, I like prologues well enough. It does make it harder for me to get invested in a story really quickly, because if there's a prologue, especially one that I know is going to, it's like 10 years in the past, and then we set the scene, it is kind of like, okay, I'll read this, but this isn't actually the beginning of the book, so I can't get attached to this, otherwise I'll be disappointed when we shift. So I can understand the feeling, because I do feel that way a little bit, but at the same time, when I see a prologue, I generally get kind of excited too, because when I have a story with a prologue in it, I usually will read the prologue quickly, then start the story, and then once I run out of pages, I'll go back and read the prologue again, because usually a prologue is a lot more meaningful after you've read the story than it is before. So, I don't know, I dig them. I guess I kind of I don't know. It's fine. We need more books with multiple protagonists, not multiple POVs, actually multiple main characters whose stories we follow in equal amount and are equally invested in. I do wonder how that would work, to have multiple characters that we follow in equal amount and are equally invested in, but only one POV? Or do you just mean multiple POVs is fine, that's just not where the period is? You're talking about, I want multiple people that are just as important. I feel like Malazan does that really well. I mean, there's like a million characters that we follow and bounce POVs in, but they're all important and they're all at risk of death or worse. Obviously, A Song of Ice and Fire does that. Multiple protagonists, but only one POV, that would be The Gentleman Bastards. Locke and Jean are really both the protagonists, but we're just following. That's not true, we're in Jean's perspective plenty. I'm a liar. And a fake fan, my goodness. Wheel of Time. I feel like we have a lot of that. A decent amount of, I mean, it's not the norm. Stormlight Archive? I don't know. Even Mistborn era too. I feel like we have a lot of that. Maybe I misunderstand. Oh, the Bone Shard Daughter series. I don't know, I feel like we have a lot of that. Maybe I misunderstand what you mean. You don't have to finish a book or series to review it. The author's job was to keep your attention and craft an engaging story. If a story failed to do that, it's fine to write a review criticizing the shortcomings. No one should feel forced to finish. It picks up by page 300, or just wait until you get to book 4. Oh my goodness, the number of times that I have heard that one. Just to state their opinion. A DNF review should state clearly why they stopped, but the review is not invalid for existing. I often find DNF reviews useful because they usually give better content warning, sexual assault, torture, abuse, etc., than other readers who don't mind those topics as much and read through. I won't say reading one page gets you the right to review, but I think there is a wider margin than most people give. So I do think that this is an unpopular opinion. I think a lot of people would vehemently disagree with this. I personally really enjoy DNF videos. I actually was just watching one that I had a blast with. Videos where a person basically says, over the last few months, I've DNF'd this many books, I did not finish, I've quit on this many books, and let me tell you why, and let me tell you which ones. And she just went through and talked about all the books that she quit on and why. And she didn't give detailed reasons. Sometimes it was as simple as, I didn't really like it. It wasn't interesting. And I don't know, I think those are fun. I see those on Goodreads a lot too, but I feel like anytime I see a review of someone saying, you know, DNF'd at X point and they give a star rating, there's always hate in the comments. So I feel like, I think this is a legitimately, truly unpopular. A lot of people would vehemently disagree with this. I personally have no issue with someone reviewing something that they didn't finish, because I think that it's interesting to find out why somebody didn't like something. And if we only heard from the people that finished something, we'd either only hear from people who hate Reddit or only hear from people who loved it, which I don't think is the exclusive perspectives that we need to hear from. and just wait until you get to book 4. Ah! I hear it so much. I hear it so much. Thankfully, I really enjoyed the first Malazan book, but the number of times that people say, don't have an opinion on it until you've read the first 3 books. Do you know how thick these books are? Same for Cradle. The first 3 books are good, but it's not until you get to book 5 that it starts getting great. And it's not until you get to book 8 that it's truly a masterpiece. And I'm just like, okay, at least they're short, I guess, but that's a lot of reading before it gets good. But at the same time, some of my favorite stories are that way, where like with The Lies of Locke Lamora, you know, a lot of people struggle with the beginning. The Count of Monte Cristo, a lot of people struggle with the beginning. So I guess I'm a hypocrite. The idea of relatability is a terrible trend in books. Books give an opportunity to live within a character that is completely different from oneself. People obviously can read what they want and enjoy, but it just seems to me incredibly limiting to only enjoy a book that they see themselves in. I don't know how widespread this actually is, but too many reviews I read seem to lead with relatability as the primary attribute of a book. I personally don't get that either. I've never ridden a dragon, but boy do I enjoy books with dragon riders in it. I've never met a mermaid yet, but I do love some mermaid stories. But yeah, life experiences, life struggles. I feel like a lot of what I read, especially if we're talking, not fantasy, if we're talking about like literary fiction and stuff, I'm specifically looking for another perspective. I'm specifically looking for a discussion that I may not have opened on my own or known how to explore on my own. So I'm with you there. Healthy relationships in books are awesome to read. Relationships where 2 people that really shouldn't be together but are witty together and have exciting conflict and angsty romantic tension aren't fun for me to read. I prefer reading about healthy relationships developing and they weather the storm together. I would probably agree. I don't know. I don't care about reading about relationships all that much. I'm such a boring person. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't like high angst in books too, so I guess I do agree with that. I love a show don't tell approach to magic systems. Many modern magic systems don't feel magical anymore. They're devoid of wonder. It seems like many authors nowadays want so many concrete rules to explain to the reader and use it to push the plot forward. Sometimes it's cool when a guy holds a seed and a plant instantly grows with no explanation. So I don't think that this is a show don't tell. I think that that means something else. But I see what you're saying. You prefer soft magic systems over hard magic systems. And I do think that that's a pretty unpopular opinion for modern fantasy. I think the trend for fantasy is definitely leaning more towards hard systems these days. Not to say that there's no new soft magic systems coming out, but that it seems like soft magic was the commonplace for classic magic systems, and as time goes on, they're getting harder and harder and harder, and a lot of soft magic systems are still being built, but that does seem to be the trend. So I would say that, yeah, this is not what people go for as much these days. And I'm with you. I have been falling in love with soft magic systems. I still love a good hard magic system, but I have been falling in love with the mystery. Interesting. Romance as a subplot is better than being the main plot. In my experience, reading books and watching shows and movies, subplot romances are more compelling than the main plot ones. I don't know if this is, I've never heard this opinion before. The replies like it. I've never heard this opinion before. So maybe it is a little bit of an outlier. I could not disagree more. If I'm reading a book that is not a romance, get the romance out of there. I don't want it. I don't need it. It's not mine. I just want to ride a dragon, or I want to, whatever we're doing, whatever the purpose of the story, I just read a dragon book, can you tell? Whatever the purpose of the story is, that's what I'd like the story to be. I couldn't care less who you like. Great, you're falling in love. I'm happy for you. What are we doing? Let's focus on the people that just died, can we? And if I want a romance, if I'm in the mood for a romance, then I will pick up a romance book, and then I'm thrilled to read a romance. But if I'm not in the mood for it, get it out of there. I find that hilarious. And I will also note that almost never, when I'm reading a story, when I'm reading a sci-fi, fantasy, literary fiction has romance in it a lot. When I'm reading a book that is not a romance, and there is a romantic subplot, I almost never care. I'm almost never invested. Every now and then there will be a romance that I'm like, oh, I love this, but almost never. If for whatever reason, if it's a subplot, if it's a side thing, it never gets me. But if the purpose of the book is a romance and I came here for the romance, then yeah, hopefully it'll be a good one. All right, now we're going to scroll back up to the top, change the search. We're gonna look at the newest first. We're gonna see who recently commented. I love Hunter x Hunter. That's not a hot take. The hot take is that I haven't been loving the Chimera Ant as much as other people. I mean, I know people can like different things, but people seem to love it. But I haven't finished it, so we'll see. Oh, you haven't finished it. Yeah, finish that. Finish that. I mean, here's the thing. Hunter x Hunter is a great series. I have a series review for it coming out soon. I think it's wonderful. I think it has flaws, and I understand why some people don't like it. But the Chimera Ant arc, I think, is near flawless. I mean, that arc has stuck with me. I think about it constantly. It's okay. You know what? At the beginning of the arc, I wasn't completely sold either. And in fact, at the beginning of the arc, I enjoyed it. I loved it. But I was like, oh no, people really love this arc. And I think that it's good. What if I'm that one person who hates it or who is underwhelmed by it? But it's really good. It's okay if you don't like it in the end, but you finish that arc out. If I can read the plot line and I'm no longer interested, then I didn't ruin the experience. I saved myself a lot of time. What? Oh, like spoilers. If you can read the spoilers and it doesn't... Listen, I'm not mad at anybody that wants to read spoilers. I've talked about this on my channel before, but personally, if I'm interested in a book and I'm enjoying it and I know I want to finish it, but it's completely lost my interest, sometimes I'll go ahead and read spoilers for the ending. And if the ending sounds good, then it's like, great, that'll re-motivate me to finish the book. And then I finish it and then woohoo, great, I read the book and hopefully I still enjoyed it. Yeah, for me, the only spoilers that I really, really don't want are deaths. I do not want to know who's gonna die. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I don't really care. Just give me a good story. If it's written well, I'm still gonna love it, whether I know what's gonna come or not. Not that I go looking for spoilers very often. Don't worry. It's not a commonplace thing. It's just if a story has completely lost me, but I still really want to finish it. I don't necessarily think that plot holes make a book bad or less interesting. Well, of course, there shouldn't be any major plot holes, which will of course mess up the story, but a few plot holes here and there don't necessarily ruin my interest in the book. Oh, I wish I was more like you. I think I'm too uptight. I care. I care so much. If there's plot holes, it will drive me up the wall. It's like, just thinking about it has me anxious. It gets under my skin. I hate it. Oh, you're gonna take a shot at one of my favorite authors. Let's go. What skill has Joe Abercrombie in character development? He is extraordinary. He is lacking in plot and world building. This is a major reason why his first law isn't in my top 5 series. And I'm not talking about the Blade itself. It's the Age of Madness trilogy that has very average plot. There are just so many plot holes, unexplained stuff. Why, those are spoilers. It also has so many obvious plot twists, which other writers could easily write to be more interesting. Okay, I can't read any of this comment because it's loaded with spoilers, so I'll have Corey Black all that out, but I will take the spoiler-free part and talk about it. You wound me. You wound me. I don't think that this is an unpopular opinion. I actually was just chatting with someone the other day who said that he read The First Law because of me, and he was totally underwhelmed because the plot was just non-existent. And I think that's fair, because the plot really doesn't begin until book 2, but I think it's good once it begins. I don't know. And I've had other people, I love Best Served Cold, which is one of his standalones, and I've had other people read it and be like, this is not that exciting of a plot. And I liked it. I think because I'm more of a character reader than I am a plot reader, his characters make up for any flaws in the plot. I don't think there are plot holes. But you also said Age of Madness, which I haven't gotten to yet. So, you know, I guess that's maybe I'll find them there, but I don't know. I don't think this is unpopular. I think a lot of people have that gripe with him. I don't. Now let's do a random comment generator, which I need my computer for. And we'll finish this video out with a couple of randomly selected ones. I'm not gonna add an extension to have you randomly pick a comment. Get out of here, I don't trust you now. Why is this hard? Complex literature does not automatically equal good literature. I would agree. I do think that there's a lot of people that would disagree. I think there's a lot of people that would agree. I think that this is kind of, you'll have people on both sides of this one, but there have definitely been some Nobel Prize winning, very well-loved, well-renowned stories that I personally hated, that I have gotten some comments, some opinions, some feedback about. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Don't judge a book by its cover. Of course I do. I want pretty books, not ugly books. I mean, everybody thinks that, I think. I mean, nobody actually believes the don't judge a book by its cover thing, but I did like that comment. Oh, here we go. We got somebody coming in ready to fight. Prepare yourself. An actually unpopular opinion. I hate detail writing. Also, whoever came up with the idea of show don't tell is the worst thing that could have happened to writing. When your book is 90% showing, I give up. I enjoy around 70 to 75% showing. Get to the point, I beg you. Maybe because English isn't my first language, but I felt Western books drag. So much flowery language and unnecessary details. Sue me. Okay. There will be a lawsuit at your door. How do you sue someone? How does that work? That's fine. I think that's fine. I don't know how unpopular that is. You may like Sanderson. He's a really straightforward, direct writer. He still writes plenty. He writes very long books, but he's really direct. He's not trying to be flowery. He's not trying to have some beautiful prose. And honestly, he's quite a teller. He's fine with info dumps. He's fine with just letting you know what's in the room and what's going on, but he does it well. I mean, I'm not really a fan of Sanderson's prose personally, but it doesn't make me not like his books, and a lot of people love his prose. So I don't know, I don't agree with you. I definitely love beautiful prose personally, but basically you just like more direct, possibly dry described writing. Well, that's cool. I am not on the same page. Let's try to find one more. Ooh, spicy. Having a good ending appropriate for the story and satisfying is the only thing that really matters for me in a book. Most of my DNFs are from books that I didn't think the author would pull it off. Ooh. I will say that a bad ending could potentially ruin a book for me. Endings are very important, but I can't say that they're the only thing that matters. However, that take about if I quit a book, it's because I don't believe in the author. Shoo. Also, and the comment underneath this, maps. I truly don't understand why people get so excited that there's a map in the book. Excuse me? I love maps. I love a beautiful map. I don't know. How? How do you not care? You get to see the world before you experience the world. When you're moving locations, you can flip back to the map and see where they're going. You can track their journey. They're so pretty sometimes. I object. I object most strongly. All right, we'll end it there. I hope you had fun. I just wanted to hang out and chill with y'all, get your spicy takes, and feel free to leave more in the comments. If you have an actual unpopular opinion, I would love to hear it. If you have a not so actual unpopular opinion, I'd love to hear that too. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Tuesdays and Thursdays on the second channel. That'll be linked in the description. I'll see you again soon. Bye.